Hello students, how are you? Today I am going to start the air pollution and what we call as a water, and in the yesterday we have discussed many things like what is pollution. We have talked about the air pollution as well as we talk about the acid rain. These things we have completed in the last class. Now we are going to discuss about what is water pollution. In the water pollution, when we talk about the water pollution, the addition of water undesirable and unwanted material, that is the when there is a water and that water contaminated undesirable and one unwanted materials in the water, and that which makes the harmful for biotic and abiotic a component, it is called the water pollution. That is the whenever there is a water which is contaminated with undesirable and unwanted materials in the water, and that kind of the materials which is and undesirable, that is harmful for the biotic and abiotic component, and that kind of the things is called the water pollution. The things which pollute the water are known as a water pollutant. That I told in the previously, the substance by which the things are get polluted, that is called the pollutant. And here this is by the different kind of the desire undesirable and unwanted materials, the water gets polluted. That's why these kind of the material by which these waters are get polluted, that kind of the materials are called water pollutant. Examples like given here including washing of the cloths and then industrial wastage from the factories. These are the basically the substance, or we call as a material, and by this the water gets pollute, and these materials are basically called as a water pollutant. Now here there is a two small things are also we have to understand, that is what is the potable water. The potable water is a kind of the water that is basically convenient for the consumption, and this potable water which basically we use for the drinking purpose. Now there is a the term what is called how it is water can be purified. The water can be purified by the physical and chemical method. In the previous class, you have learned WWTP, water waste treatment plant, and that is the physical and chemical process, and that is called the sewage treatment. And in these sewage treatment plants are basically uh, helps to clean the water before discharging it into the water bodies and household activities. When these is sewage waters which is coming from the different sources, they are particular areas, and where there is a WWTPR established, and with that establishment of the water um, purifier plant, in which the water gets purified. After that, these are sent to the water bodies and household activities. We can also construct the water filter with simple everyday materials. Whenever we are having not that much of the water which is which is very much polluted by the different kind of the unwanted product, then that kind of the water is basically purified by the filter papers also. Now here there is a method by which we filter the water. Take a plastic bottle and cut into the two halves at the center. Number one method, and use the upper half as a funnel by putting it upside down in the lower half. In this way, these are made by this is the technique basically by which we can make a filter paper. Make a layer in it with the paper, napkin, or fine cloth, followed by cotton, sand, or thin gravels. And now pour dirty water through the filter and observe the filtered water which is you will get inside the bottle. By this method the water can be purified. Now you can see here that there is a effect of when the water gets polluted. What are the different effects we can observe? Here you can see in the Ganga, the number of the peoples are basically cleaning the water of these Gangas by the water pollutant. Now here river Ganga is one of the 10 most endangered river in the world. Large quantity of garbage, untreated sewage and dead bodies may other harmful things are discharged into this kind of the river. All these have resulted adverse condition for the aquatic animals residing in the Ganga. So this is the one type where you can see the water pollutant gets affects the water bodies. Now there is another point that is called the harmful chemical likes arsenic. These are discharged by these industries to by which these water gets impure and acidity change in the water, and that kind of the water not taken cannot be taken by these water bodies because it is directly harms to these biotic animals. The uses of the pesticides and pesticides in the field gets mixed with water bodies during the rainfall. Whenever we use these pesticide is basically a kind of the chemical used to uh, protect our crops, and the pesticides is also a chemical which used to protect our crops. Now when these kind of the things are used for protection of these agriculture product, whenever there is a rainfall occurs, at that time these pesticide and pesticides are get mixed with that rainwater and goes to the rivers, and by which the water bodies gets affected. Now there is a fourth point: various disease like cholera, diarrhea, jaundice. These are the cholera, diarrhea, and jaundice. If the anybody use these affected water, or we call as a harmful water, because of these chemicals, when somebody will eat either any kind of the eat of biotic product, or they directly drink this kind of the water, then the person feel a cholera or jaundice or diarrhea. This kind of the result take place due to the water pollution. Now there is a bacteria present in the feces of the mammals, and it indicates the quality of the water. If such feces contaminated water is consumed, if that kind of the feces contaminated water will be consumed by any of the biotic or a human being, they may cause many infection. So it is the effects by which we can understand the water should be procured for the human being as well as for the animals being. Now here key points of prevent water pollution. If we don't want to pollute our water, then these points should be remembered. Number one, that some plans can be implemented. Some plans can be implemented for water polluted rivers, like Ganga Action Plans was launched in 1985 with the aim of the reducing pollution level in the water. There is a plan for the cleaning of these Ganga, and that plan names are Ganga Action Plan. And now the second one is industries must treat the waste before discharging them into the water. If these industries are discharge water into the river, before that they have to treat some kind of the remove that kind of the harmful materials which is involved in the chemicals in the waters. After that, they can remove the that waters into the rivers. Also there is a third point. The household level scandal type filter can also be used. Household persons can also use the candle type filter. Moreover, water boiled for the drinking as it kills the germs inside the water. Before drinking the water household required to drink the water, boil the water before drinking. Now, there is a chemical process like chlorination can also be used for the treating water. There is a laws for industrial units should be strictly implemented to stop the throwing the waste of the because all the persons who is not willing to understand what is water pollution, they throw out these wastes into these kind of the gangas or rivers. And for the to restrict that kind of the activities by the human beings, there should be a law, industrial law, so that they also there should be a awareness program so that they understand and gets the important of these kind of the activities. Now there is a proper sewage treatment plan must be implemented, number one. And the idea of reduce reuse, these should also be implemented to everybody. Reduce, reuse, and recycle should be incorporated for prevention of water pollution, because more water if we using and wasting of these water, then water is a scarce product, and it maybe gets the finish after a period of time, then it is harmful for the human being. Now, what are these Rs? These Rs are basically millions of tons of wastage. We have to understand there is a millions of tons of wastage in the form of garbage, reuse or trash. These kind of the garbage are either they are reusing or they trash into the water. It is the wastage that we produce in our homes and communities. These wastes are thrown out to the water bodies. These kind of the wastes they thrown out into the water bodies, rivers, and make the water contaminated. By this, the water gets contaminated. So there is a process called as a reduce reuse process. And reduce process waste prevention, reduce the generation of waste in the first place. That means we have to minimize the wastage product, so we should not create waste by reducing the use of goods. Means the utility of we have to take care of while using the kind of the material, that material should not be waste. Number second, when we talk about while brushing uh, our teeth, the tap running may waste several liters of water. During that time brushing the teeth, the tap water should be closed. Now, if we have next point is talk about the purchasing durable long lasting goods, the kind of the things which we have to use so that that can used more and more durable things that should be used. And there is a reduce the use of non bio, if it is a kind of the non biodegradable materials, that should be cannot be used uh, uh, by which, if there is a non biodegradable material, and if we know can we should prohibited ourselves for the use of the non biodegradable materials, then this kind of the materials use of this kind of the materials will not get affect the water. Now, second one is a reuse. When we talk about reuse the things in our daily routine work, so that it will reduce the amount of the wastage. Reusing water you use for washing or other household tasks. If we are using water like washing and for other household tasks, water used for washing vegetable may be used to water plants in the garden. Now refill bottle so that if we use this kind of the refill bottle, the use of that water will be minimized. The reuse the cotton or jute bag instead of polythene bag, by which the we protect our environment, and use empty jar into the containers for the leftover the food. Whenever we have enough leftover food, for that we should use empty jars. Now there is a point that is called the recycle. Recycling prevent the generation of for many greenhouse gases and water pollutant, and the save energy. These kind of the things happen. Recycling prevent the generation of many greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide and water vapor, methane. These are the some greenhouse gases, and these greenhouse gases affect our environment. So we should prevent with that kind of the gases like carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide. These are the greenhouse gases, and these harms to the environment. So we have to recycle these kind of the things. Now materials made up of plastic, paper, glass, metals should be recycled to make a new item. And now there is a using recycled materials generate less solid waste. If we use these kind of the materials, it creates the less solid wastes, and by this the we can protect our water and environment. Now these all these kind of the things are given here. Most of favored option is prevention and minimization is the whenever we goes from top to down to bottom, there is a very convenient for use of the always take a prevention so that the wastage can be minimized. And another thing that is called the reuse recycle. These are the process by you we can minimize the things. Another thing that is called as a you can see here, that is called the energy recovery or disposal. These kind of the things can be taken at last. So it is all about the this chapter, where you have to get all the information related to the prevention of water pollution, and acid rain, and the air pollution. These things we have a discuss here. There is a not more science is involved, just a general science which you have to understand all these kind of the concept. And there is some activities which we generally do in our journal life, that should be also gives good knowledge about the water pollution and air pollution. So it is all about this chapter. Now we are going to talk about the some questions. I am not going to discuss all these questions, but you have to understand these questions are all these questions are related to your the NCRT book, and the answer is also written here. From here you can write down the answer. What are the different, number one, first question, what are the different ways in which water gets contaminated in the if you want to write this answer in this way, it's your choice. But if you want to understand the question of this kind of the questions, the answer is very general. what are the different ways in which the water gets contaminated, matlab water gets polluted. And as you know, the industrial waste water gets polluted, household activity water gets polluted, and the non-biodegradable substances which is thrown out into the river, by this water gets contaminated. So these are pesticides and weedicides are also get by this use of this chemical to protect the agriculture crop, the these water gets polluted. So these are the some kind of the activities by which the water gets polluted. Now here you can see, here the at an individual level, how can you help reduce air pollution at individual levels, means how you can understand that water pollution can be reduced by, as a industry. There are the many gases are harm to the airs. So these industries should use the kind of the things by which the carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, these gases should not release. And for that, they have to use the CNG, number one, in replacement of the petrol, diesel, and kerosene. One can avoid unnecessary use of the vehicle, the process by which they use basically the transport mode. One can avoid using a crackers. Cracker is also responsible for air pollution, and there is a one can generate awareness about one can awareness about the pollution among friends and neighbors. And these one can switch over the alternate fuels instead of fossil fuel. Fossil fuels means the fuels like petroleum, these CN, like petrol and diesels. These are the fossil, and coal is also fossil fuels, and these should be avoided. And in replacement of these, the solar energy, hydropowers, and wind energy can be used. One can plant a tree and nurture those trees already present in the neighborhood. Another, dry leaves can be burnt in a compost pit rather than burning in open. So it should be composed. These dry leaves should be composed, not to burn it at open place. Now, clear, transparent water is always fit for the drinking. Yes, it is required, because if you will not take a clear water, transparent water, um, the transparent water is not always fit for drinking. This is because the water which looks clean might contain disease carrying microorganisms and dissolve impurities. So that water, before water, the drinking of water, that should be purified. Now you can, a member of a municipal bodies of your own city, make a list of measures that could help your town to ensure the supply of a clean water to all its residents. Now, following list should be required. Number one, the implementation of restrict law. Number one point, treatment of water must be done. Number third, water supply pipes must be properly maintained, and campaign and awareness programs should be organized. These points are important. Explain the difference between the pure air and polluted air. Pure airs, where there is a 78% nitrogen and 21% are oxygens are present. Whereas when these percentages are go down, means carbon dioxide and harmful gases are more as compared to the oxygen, then it gets the polluted air. Number seven question: which of the following is not a greenhouse gases? Nitrogen is not a greenhouse gases. All these gases, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, these are the greenhouse gases. And explain the circumstances leading to acid rain, as the in the previous the previous lecture I already told how the acid rains are formed and how it gets affect. Here the answer is given here: the sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide release into the atmosphere. These are the pollutants, react whenever there is a rainfall, react with these waters and contaminated with the air and form sulfuric and nitric acid. And when it rains, these acids are present in it. This kind of rain is called the basically acid rain. Now, how acid rains get effect? It can cause a skin erection. It removes the nutrients like calcium from the soil. It causes the corrosion because these acid gets directly react with these calciums, and it convert into the harmful product. And it causes the corrosion of bridge, building and other metallic objects. It can destroy plants and aquatic life because these are the harmful substances. Now describe greenhouse effect in their own word. All the things are written here. I already told how the greenhouse effect is trapping of radiation. When the carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, these gases, the level of the carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide gases are increased in the atmosphere, by which the ozone layer get affected, and by this the temperature on the earth will increase, so by which the global warming take place. It is written here, you can go through these. Prepare a brief speech on global warming. Same thing are written here, you have to talk about the global warming. uh, you can prepare a global warming for a debate purpose. Now here describe the threat to the beauty of the Taj Mahal, as in case of you have seen in the previous class, we talk about the greenhouse acid rain, acid rain on the uh, beautiful building that is called the Taj Mahal, and these Taj Mahal is basically affected by the acid rain, and you can write down these things. Same things are written here. You go through all these things. Now, why does the increased level of nutrients in the water affect the survival of the aquatic organism? Aquatic organism are those kind of the organisms which basically lives in the water. Now here according to this question, the nutrients in the water, nutrients means all the carbohydrate means proteins, minerals, as well as the as well fiber. These are the kind of the nutrients, and if these kind of the nutrients are increased in any kind of the aquatic organisms, then the survival of the life will be very danger. So we are talking about why these kind of the does the increased level of the nutrient in the water, because whenever there is a we use the pesticides, as already told that these are the some chemicals we use to protect our from the from the different kind of the harmful substances. And whenever these kind of the things are used, and if there is a rain occurs, and due to the rains, these pesticide and weedicides are run away with that water and get mixed with the river, and these affects the water bodies. Now there these acts as a nutrients for a algae. Now means these kind of the pesticide and weedicides are act as a nutrient for the algae to flourishing. And once these algae die, and they serve as a food for the decomposer like bacteria. In this process, lots of oxygen in these ponds get used by up. Means whenever these are the basically nutrients, and when these nutrients acts as a nutrient for the algae to flourish. Now if these once these algae die, means the by which these pesticide and weedicides, because of the use of the higher nutrients, the algae will die. And they basically, these algae basically serve as a food for decomposer like bacteria is considered as a decomposer. In this process, a lots of oxygen in these ponds gets used up, and during that process, the water, the in the water, and the oxygen which is involved in the water get used by these kind of the activities. And once the water is decrease, what the oxygen will decrease in this water, the all the aquatic living organisms will um, which kills the aquatic organisms. So it is, I think it is the last slide. So it is all about your this air pollution and water chapter. Now we have finished all over the courses of your 18th chapter in the science, and we will have online classes. During that classes, we will solve your the doubts, but for the new, for the understanding purpose, you and making note purpose, you go through all these kind of the what we call, go through all these kind of the notes as well as the explanation. You will be able to understand uh, very clearly. So it is all about the today's session. We will have a next session. I will talk about the different things for related to your exam, as well as how to get the good marks in the exams. Thank you for joining this class, and stay at your home with your parents, and healthy and wealthy with getting the proper knowledge. Thank you.